Hello. Hello. Nika here with your Daily Neuro Nugget. Welcome, guys. We don't have a lot of time. There are so many things I want to talk about. I want to talk about Dylan and Bryan Kohberger. I want to talk about a theory I covered a long time ago, as well as other YouTubers, right? Now that we know for a fact that there were two sources of male DNA that came from BLOOD at the crime scene, we need to talk about Dylan. And this is a very triggering topic for a lot of people because they don't want to hear it, right? The last time I spoke about this, I lost so many people because they're so sensitive, they're too emotional, they can't be objective. So if you're that type of person, this video might not be for you, babe. Sorry. And we want to talk about this because at the end of the day, the fact that two sources of male DNA were found at the crime scene, and on top of that, we know there were 3 other sources of DNA under Maddie Mogen's nails. So we're going to talk about Occam's razor, right, as well. I'll give you guys a couple of minutes to settle in, grab some popcorn, grab a drink. I have here a glass. It looks dirty, I'm sorry guys. A glass of water with 1 drop of methylene blue. Look how beautiful my flowers are that you guys purchased. Thank you so much, I appreciate it. Again, for those of you who are just coming in here, guys, I understand this is a very triggering topic for a lot of people, right? Because, well, we live in 2025 and people choose to identify as whatever they choose to identify, whatever animal, whatever race, whatever. So of course, me being me, we need to talk about this because if Dylan is a biological male, yes, it matters. It matters. The last time I talked about this, a lot of people attacked me and threatened me, and the whole community, you know, LGBTQT, tried to come after me saying that it doesn't matter, Nika, it doesn't matter if, you know, she's male or female, but you have to understand that when we are looking at this case objectively, and we are looking at the actual evidence, meaning 2 sources of unknown male DNA that are literally at the freaking crime scene that came from 2 unknown males, we need to talk about Dylan. Because how are we supposed to believe that Dylan and Bethany were at the home for the entire time? Now we know they were at the home, so stop trying to protect them. Stop trying to say that they were at some hotel. No, they weren't. No, they weren't. They were at their own homes. They were in their rooms. In fact, in the legal documents, it is stated that Miss Dylan Mortensen ran to Bethany's room because she was so scared, right? She was, oh my God, so scared, but never called cops. She was, oh my God, so scared, but she passed right through the front door and still didn't leave. So she was so scared that instead of calling 911, she got on Yik Yak. She was so scared that instead of calling 911, she got on TikTok, on Instagram, on Snapchat, on Indeed, okay? This is where Occam's razor comes in, right? Because there are a lot of theories out there, and I've seen so many posts, so many rebuttal comments referencing Occam's razor, right? And they use this when they're talking about proof that Mr. Kohberger is the most likely suspect because of the Sheath touch DNA, because of the location, because of the white Elantra. So a lot of people will mention, especially guilters, will mention Occam's razor. That's like their only comeback, right? They're literally grasping at straws. So when I hear Occam's razor, I'm like, I want to roll my eyes, right? And now that we have seen all these checks be released, the fact that the roommates failed to investigate their house, themselves in the morning, and instead they went on 6+ social media sites, that instead they went and surfed the internet for 4+ hours. By the way, they were surfing the internet. They were on Yik Yak, TikTok, Instagram, Indeed, at the time when the crime was allegedly taking place. So we're supposed to believe that Bryan Kohberger is the most involved per Occam's razor. He's the most likely. It's the most plausible explanation that he did it. But we are not allowed to question Dylan and Bethany that were there at the time of the crime, that were awake when the crime was taking place, that they instead went on social media and on Indeed, right? That instead Dylan Morrison called her dad first, waited for an hour and a half later to call 911, and then there was the overall delay to call 911 in general, the 8+ hour delay. So yeah, I have a slight aversion to Occam's razor in this case, because this is what Occam's razor is, okay? Let me Google the definition of Occam's razor for those, just to make it easy for all of us, right? So according to Wikipedia, Occam's razor is basically the problem-solving principle that recommends searching for explanations constructed with the smallest possible set of elements. The philosophical razor advocates that when presented with competing hypotheses about the same prediction, and both hypotheses have equal explanatory power, one should prefer the hypothesis that requires the fewer assumptions. So basically, Occam's razor, to sum it all up, guys, means go with the easiest explanation. Yeah, we're supposed to believe that the easiest explanation here is Bryan being guilty, right? Please let me know, guys. If you are in the chat, I want to know what you think about that. Right? To me, Occam's razor is pointing at the obvious, and it's that the roommates know a lot more than they're telling, right? We're supposed to believe that there is this case where only 4 out of 6 people were unalived horrifically, okay? This is one of the most gruesome crimes we have seen to date in the US of A. We're supposed to believe that 4 out of 6 people were unalived in a violent manner with a knife, supposedly by a stranger with no motive, no connection to the victims. Why in the world would 2 people be spared? Especially after one made eye contact with the supposed unaliver. Do you understand why Occam's razor, if we're going to utilize Occam's razor, the most likely explanation would be that the roommates know more than they're saying, or even as far-fetched as to potentially theorize that they were directly involved, right? We also have learned throughout the years that this house is known for fights. This house is known to have people in and out. We have seen the footage of so many men enter the home. So many men. Girls also, but a lot of guys, a lot of fraternity students, a lot of university students all over the place, right? And we know that this home was a well-known rug activity home, right? A lot of substances being utilized in and outside of the home. And when people are jumping to Mr. Kohberger being the sole perpetrator or even being involved at all, people are actually, what they're doing, it's mental gymnastics to try to solve this case, right? Because in my opinion, Occam's razor is actually pointing to the most obvious explanation, being that this crime seems to be related to people within their own inner circle, people that were close to the victims, right? And listen, Linda, listen, okay? It is also very possible that maybe, just maybe, because again, I'm willing to set my biases aside about Dylan and Bethany. But I'm going to give them still the benefit of the doubt. And maybe they were just completely clueless people with zero survival skills, even though they're grown-ass women. These are not children. They're grown-ass females. And I've said it again. There's so many videos on social media where we have seen 2, even 3-year-olds being able to call 911 and be more descriptive on the phone to the 911 operator that Dylan and Bethany ever were, right? But again, I'm gonna be nice here. I'm gonna have a little bit more empathy, I suppose, and we'll just say, fine, you wanna be completely clueless with zero survival skills, you don't know what to say, it doesn't sit well with me, right? Or another Occam's razor theory is that maybe they know something else. They could be potentially helping people cover something up or playing dumb. Maybe they are afraid of something or someone. Maybe they are loyal to whoever is close to their own inner circle, right? So I wanted to talk about this because in yesterday's live, guys, we talked about the knife. We talked about the K-bar, which, by the way, just a friendly reminder, we don't even know if a K-bar was actually used to commit this crime. I showed you guys my very own military United States Marine Corps K-bar. Okay. Some people said it was really big. Some people said it was smaller than anticipated. You have to remember, I am a petite female, okay? I'm a petite female. So, of course, if a 5'5" lady, 120 pounds, is holding this K-bar, it's going to look small, or it's going to look big in comparison. But in reality, to be able to use this weapon, fine, right? We talked about that. And now I wanted to cover the other rumor, right? There is the other rumor that allegedly Mr. Kohberger was out there shopping on Amazon right before the crime and right after the crime for a replacement sheath. Now, let me tell you a little something about how the internet works. Let me tell you a little something how marketing works. Let me tell you a little something how AI works, right? Because we have seen the documents. If his click activity, if Bryan Kohberger's Amazon click activity, if he was actually browsing through whatever right before and right after the crime to supposedly purchase a replacement sheath, why would he be shopping, first of all, for a replacement sheath right before the crime? Does that make sense? It doesn't. And let me tell you why. It does not make sense because the guilters are saying that this sheath was a mistake, that it was found only because Bryan Kohberger was making a mistake. He was rushed. This was his first crime and he was running out of the house, right? And although he planned everything perfectly, he magically happened to leave a sheath behind. That's what the guilters want us to believe. But now the guilters are also saying, no, he actually knew he was going to lose his sheath beforehand. So therefore, he was trying to purchase one, right? Does that make sense? Does that make sense? If Ann Taylor is going to do her job to the fullest, you know, this is what I would say if I were Ann Taylor, right? You want to be a good lawyer? You want to be a good defense lawyer? Well, could be very possible, state prosecutors judge, that my client here, Mr. Kohberger, lost his sheath before the crime even happened. Is that why he was searching for one? Did he lose it? And I have always speculated about him maybe having some connection between, was it Dylan? Was it Bethany? Did he ever know them? We have heard that he had no connection to the victims, but we have never heard that he did not have any connections to Bethany or to Dylan. I don't know. Sorry guys, I'm trying to pull up the chat here and my laptop is acting up. There it is. Yay. How are you guys doing today? Ooh, I see some really good comments. I want to get to them. Hello, Big Plants Little City. Hello, 2L8. Hello, Tabitha, Kimberly, Jim, welcome. CT, welcome, welcome. Kayla, welcome. Congratulations on your first live. Hello, Carolyn, Capitan, Punjabu. Hello, Busted Flush. Hey, everybody. No, I'm sorry, Laurie. I only have Instagram. Hello, Hoppers. Welcome. Ooh, Busted Flush bought the methylene blue. Of course it will stain. It will stain everything. It's literally a dye. Don't take what I take, guys. I'm a crazy scientist, okay? Literally, don't take what I take, okay? Everything has side effects. Everything. So, methylene blue used to be used to dye things. We still use it to dye things in our laboratory. So, yeah, don't do what I do, please. Carolyn says there's any number of reasons a person's sex can change. The most horrific is mutilation. So, Carolyn, yes, they were not scared enough to stop texting all morning, right? Hello, Small Fries. Hi, Beth. Hi, Stella. Hello, Susan. The roommates know something. Blue drink and blue shirt. Thank you, Capitan. Hello, Wanda. There was no frozen shock phase. We clearly were lied to. And that's the thing, right? When we are talking about Occam's razor, it's like, well, we were lied to because first Moscow PD told us that these victims, these poor young women, were frozen in shock. Now we know that they were surfing the internet, just chilling, just hanging out, calling friends on social media, posting images, doing whatever they were doing. Do you see how Moscow PD manipulated this entire situation to make the roommates look innocent, young, incapable of being involved? But in reality, when we look at Occam's razor, it's pointing to the roommates. It's pointing to the roommates knowing something at the very least, something more than we are being told, right? And why does Dylan potentially being a biological male make a difference? Because there was two sources of male DNA found at the crime scene, right? In the early day rumors, guys, a lot of people speculated that her boyfriend, Dylan's previous boyfriend, was into biological males who look like chicks, that he attended a lot of very interesting bars with very interesting types of people. I don't know if she is or not, right? Carolyn says that you think she is. I don't know. I'm not her doctor. I would literally need to see down there because otherwise there's like no way to know. And even now, the surgeries have gotten so good that there are some people that you just can't tell. Like I've seen some trans folks that look, guys that look like women or identify as women that look more effeminate than I do because they have like the big puffy lips or like the giant jugs, right? And I'm here with my little A cups, like I'm like, bro, you look You look more girly than I do. So it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. But if, theorizing, Dylan is a biological male, then a lot of the activity around the hours of the crime then would make sense. Right? And we know that there was a latent shoe print from a Vans shoe, a size 10, I believe, that was found outside of Dylan's room. Now, I don't know about you, right? We all have different shoe sizes, right? I'm a petite female, so of course I'm gonna have like size 7. Okay, that's my size 7 shoe. Dylan is, in my opinion, very tall. She's got to be like 5'10", 5'10" to 5 to 6 foot. That's what she looks. She looks 10 to me. And tall people usually wear bigger shoes, right? Carolyn says Dylan wore size 10 shoes. That is very plausible for a tall female, but it's also very plausible for a trans person, right? Right? And I'm not going to get into the whole physical descriptions of bodies because, again, we are all shaped very different. I have semi-broad shoulders. Some women have even more broad shoulders. Some women have very narrow shoulders. So I have never trusted Dylan. I will never trust Dylan. Five, 4.5. You're 5, 4.5. We have caught Moscow PD in so many lies. We have caught Detective Payne in so many lies. Mary in so many lies regarding so many things. We have caught them trying to cover for Dylan and Bethany. When we all know, all of us in here are intelligent to know that if Dylan and Bethany were male and they were the only 2 people out of 6 people total that were left alive, if they were men, we would not be in this situation. We all know damn well that the last 2 men, if Dylan and Bethany were dudes, they would have went to jail. They would have been questioned by the police. They wouldn't have been protected. They would not have been protected. They would have been questioned. The officers wouldn't have immediately jumped to rescue them, to cover for them, to lie for them, because they lied saying they were frozen in shock. No, they were not. They were not frozen in shock. Why are you lying? Why are you trying to protect them? We know these 2 girls were surfing the internet for 4 hours, and you want us to believe that Occam's razor is, oh, but Bryan Kohberger's touched DNA. Again, there is a reason why military courts do not allow touch DNA to be used at a trial. There is a reason for that, right? So when these 2 grown-ass women who were on social media, chilling, surfing the internet for fucking hours on end when the crime was taking place, when we have that, you have to question, why are they being protected? Who do they know? Who are their family members? What are they keeping to themselves? And why? I don't believe anything Dylan has said. Is Dylan a man? Maybe. And if Dylan is a man, this is why it matters. Because if she were a man, and we are going to jump to that very harsh theory that maybe she was directly involved, well, then that could explain one of the 2 unknown male DNAs, right? That's called evidence, and that is also called being objective. I'm just pulling some things up here, guys. Bear with me. And I also wanted to talk about the exculpatory evidence from Bethany Funk that we were supposed to have heard or seen, right? We've all seen these very confusing text, very odd behavior from Dylan Mortensen. And back in the day, Ann Taylor actually wanted to get this interview from Bethany Funk for exculpatory evidence. And there was some stipulation that if she gave this interview that her statements would not incriminate her, right? But when that interview was supposed to take place over 2 years ago, guys, the prosecution immediately invoked the grand jury, and that just stopped all communications with Bethany Funk. And I found the timing extremely suspicious, because if Bethany Funk does have exculpatory evidence, whatever that is, maybe she saw something on Dylan. We know that Dylan allegedly ran to the room, to Bethany's room. Did Bethany see something? Does Bethany Funk know Mr. Koberger potentially? Is it possible that maybe Mr. Koberger was searching for a replacement sheath on Amazon because somebody stole his? Right? People always jump to the conclusion and say, well, he was probably plotting to leave the knife sheath there. But then we're supposed to believe that it was also left there by accident. Which is it? Which is it? Did he leave the sheath there by accident, or did he plan to leave it there? And that's why he was searching pre and post crime for this sheath bar on Amazon. See how it doesn't make sense? This is what I'm talking about. Guilty is doing mental gymnastics to involve Mr. Koberger one way or another. And a lot of you guys responded to my live yesterday, and you mentioned that you are from the area. A lot of you guys are from the area where Bryan Koberger is from, and you say that it is actually quite common to have something on you, right? For example, a K-bar for protection. Remember, he did purchase this K-bar back in the day. Back in the day, before he even moved to Pullman. So did he actually bring it to Pullman, Washington? Did he bring it across the country with him? And is it possible that maybe it was stolen? Again, if I'm a defense attorney, that's what I'm going to say. If I were a defense attorney, if I were his defense attorney, I would be pulling up all of the pictures of the frat boys, sorority girls, U of I students, all wearing their ski masks, all holding up, what were they, machetes and K-bars, right? Because technically, Mr. Koberger could claim that if he did bring it across the country, it got stolen, and that's why he was looking for a replacement weapon, right? Because that's what a defendant is supposed to do. They're literally supposed to defend their client. And it's also important to keep in mind that, yes, although we had a lot of Dylan Morrison's statements to law enforcement about that night, we somehow haven't really seen any of Bethany Funk's statements to police. Oh my God, do you think that that is for a reason? And if there are any omitted statements that Bethany Funk made that could lead the defense to believe that Bethany Funk holds this key to exonerating Mr. Koberger, and maybe she wanted to ask more questions to Bethany Funk. You know, for example, did Dylan Mortensen come downstairs to your room and tell you some conflicting information? Something that maybe we are not seeing in these text messages? Or is it possible that, hey, Bethany, did you hear the conversations between Dylan and her father on the phone? Or something isn't adding up, right? Is it possible that almost 2.5 years in, Mrs. Taylor, Ann Taylor, is suspicious about Dylan Mortensen? Because from what we know so far, the only person that saw and the only person that heard the unaliver was Dylan Mortensen. How fucking convenient is that? How convenient is that? What do you guys think is possible that Bethany Funk has to contribute that could potentially exonerate Mr. Koberger, other than listening and observing Dylan Mortensen in her room 4 hours right after the crime? What does Bethany Funk know? What is this exculpatory evidence she holds? And for Ann Taylor, for the defense to believe that Bethany Funk has information that will exonerate Bryan, that's for a reason. That is for a reason. Yes, Bethany Funk allegedly took pictures, right? I want to know what the pictures were about. What were the pictures of? Caroline says, did Dylan call Bethany and say, walk Xana home from frat party? Separating the couple made it easier to unalive them? Peg, I wonder if they used the tunnels under the house to escape and or hide the evidence. The tunnels run across the street to the university president's house. Right? Pictures of what, and did her father convince her to take photos? I don't know, but we do know she was surfing the internet for 4+ hours. That to me seems like you're not afraid as you say you are through these texts, right? You're not that afraid if you're on Indeed and Yik Yak and TikTok and Instagram. And what are the guilters saying about these two being on social media the entire time? Dylan, in my opinion, is a little bit psychotic. And if she were a man, we would not be just like, oh my God, Dylan, that's what you get for not calling 911. No, we would be bashing him, right? So it will be very interesting to see if the Dylan that we see now, the pictures that we've seen, is she a biological male? It also matters, you know why? Because if she's a biological male, well, not only would it match the unknown male DNA at the house, supposedly, maybe, could match, right? It's a theory. But also the strength, right? The brute strength of a biological male is never going to be the same as of a biological female. Unless you're like in there like hulking and bulking. And even then it's different. I've seen so many studies showing that biological females have way more leg strength, like pound per pound, of course. Way more leg strength than biological males. But a biological male has a lot more upper body strength, right? They're born with more androgen receptors in their guns, right? So when it comes to potentially unaliving 4 people, who do you think is going to win? A biological female or a biological male dressed as a female? I think that's easy. That's an easy answer. And if you don't think that's an easy answer, baby, you're part of the problem here. okay? Because we've seen all of this, what's going on in the Olympics, all these biological males dressed up as females in the swimming Olympics. It's like, babe, with those shoulders that you have as a biological male, even if we knock down your testosterone levels like to nothing, to a eunuch, bro, you already developed those shoulders. Like, you're past puberty, bro. So, yeah, the strength of a biological male is going to be a lot higher than a biological female. That's why it matters if Dylan is male or female biologically. Not because we care about the political shit. You think I care about that? I have jobs and a family to worry about. I don't care about that. I care about strength and I care about the DNA. I care about the evidence, okay? So, it's almost 3:30. I have to go. Speaking of jobs, I have to go. Miss Molly says, I don't trust Dylan either. She is so fake. Caroline says, yes, the average male 5'10", likely wears a size 10 shoe. I've seen it enough in the medical field. Yes, same. Dylan looks demonic, especially in that most recent party clip. Now, my very last theory I'm going to cover in like 30 seconds here, and I've shared it before. If you guys are not new to the channel, just, you don't have to tell me you already heard this, is that maybe, just maybe, Mr. Koberger did have some sort of relationship with maybe... Sorry, guys. Can you guys hear me? Sorry, guys. Can you guys hear me? I was saying, if Koberger did know Dylan or Bethany, could he have gifted them something? Like a sheath or a K-bar? I don't know. I still want to know, because I'm not that biased. I'm not that biased. I know I come across as, you know, I'm always siding with Koberger, but I'm not that biased and I'm not that stupid. I want to know, where is this K-bar that was allegedly purchased by somebody in that Koberger Amazon account? Because if it was Bryan or somebody else, a dad, mom, sister who bought it, and that K-bar is still somewhere in Pennsylvania, boom, solve the case, bitch, right? Although we don't even know if this crime was actually committed with a K-bar, because in my opinion, what Maybeth, the coroner, said doesn't match K-bar wounds. I showed you guys my very own K-bar yesterday, and again, they can't do that much damage, I don't think, for 4 large human beings in the span of a few minutes, okay? You run out of, the blade gets dull very quickly. So, something is weird here. I'm not the only one saying this. Everybody is saying this. Even some guilters are saying this. A lot of guilters, after they saw the messages, after they saw that Dylan and Bethany were surfing the fucking web instead of calling 911, when they saw that these 2 bitches were not frozen in shock, a lot of guilters are a little confused. And it's funny because right after we heard that these 2 girls were just chilling on the internet, going on Yik Yak, TikTok, Instagram, social media, Indeed, that's when we got bombarded. Well, Bryan Koberger bought a K-bar. Okay. All right. But was it the K-bar? Was it even a K-bar, or was it machetes and golf clubs? I'm just saying. So thank you guys for joining me in today's live. Thank you guys for commenting in the chat. I will try to read all of the messages in the chat later. I know that there were a lot. So you guys have a wonderful day, night, whatever it is. It's gloomy here in Chicago. Sunny/gloomy. So you guys have a wonderful day. Don't forget to hit that like. Thank you guys. Have a good day. Bye-bye.